Good morning. Today is Thursday, March 3rd. Welcome to the Minnesota Senate Taxes Committee. Just a couple items to note. Our mission statement has returned to the top of our agendas, and so I encourage members to look at that. For the public, I'll just read it briefly. Fairness, adequacy, simplicity, neutrality, transparency, and administrative ease are hallmarks of good tax policy. The Senate Tax Committee will focus on nimble, good tax and fiscal policies that empower Minnesota families and grow economic activity. Clearly, it's never been more important than it is now. Members, today we have 3 bills on the agenda. I'm going to ask Senator Coleman to come and chair the committee. I will be presenting the first 2. The intention, members, is these bills will be laid over for possible inclusion, and we do have a quorum. Senator Coleman. Okay.
All right, thank you, Senator Nelson. To your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move that Senate File 3221.
All right. Senator Nelson moves Senate File 3221. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Okay. So moved. Senator Nelson, to your bill. Thank you all for bearing with me.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate File 3221 is a bill that would create an income tax subtraction for student loan payments made by an eligible employer on behalf of the employee. This is an effort to help with a consistent problem that we have had in getting enough workers, or getting that match of workers and their skills to the available jobs. That had been a problem before the pandemic, certainly exacerbated by the pandemic, the Great Resignation now, our severe workforce shortage. This is an effort to help with that skills training that prepares workers for those jobs that have vacancies now. Again, it is an individual tax subtraction for student loan payments that are paid by an employer on behalf of the employee that is being skilled up. I'll just give you the specifics. Up to $5,250 is the maximum, or $10,500 for a married joint return. The eligible payments include payments by an employer of principal and interest on a qualified education loan. The payments may be made to the employee or directly to the lender. A qualified loan includes any debt incurred to pay for higher education expenses for the taxpayer, the spouse, or the dependent. And just to give you some background, the subtraction is similar to a temporary exclusion for employer-provided student loan payments that was enacted in the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021. So this is a bit of conformity. It is assumed that the subtraction would have substantially the same impact as the federal exclusion, so we're just once again aligning our Minnesota tax code with the federal. The estimate is based, not here, the estimate, let's see, I don't believe the estimate came in last night. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Wills, but I don't believe we got that estimate last evening. Mr.
Madam Chair and Senator Nelson, we do have an estimate that was passed out this morning and it is reflecting the same impacts substantially as the exclusion. And for FY23, the estimated general fund impact is a reduction of $7.2 million. In FY24, $7.3 million, and in FY25, $7.4 million.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was thinking of the wrong bill there. That's the second one. All right. So thank you for bringing that, for speaking to that revenue estimate. And members, very straightforward bill. Again, building our workforce, helping match employees with the needed skills for the job openings. And again, it's a piece of federal conformity. And there are no amendments.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Members, any questions? Senator Bach?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Nelson, the $5,250, is that per individual, or on a joint return, could one individual receive $10,000 in an exclusion or subtraction? It
Ms.
doesn't seem very clear, so could it be one of the two of the joint return, or is it capped at $5,200 per person?
Madam Chair?
I'll break it.
Yes.
Senator Nelson?
Yes, thank you. My I thought it was a little unclear myself, but I will tell you, my understanding is, number one, we want to match exactly the federal piece, so that's how the language is intended. My understanding is up to $5,250 on behalf of an employee, so that would be one employee. To your question, or $10,500 for a married joint return, if both employees are working for that same company and have that same employer paying for that student loan payment. But I'm actually going to turn it over to our counsel, Nora, to explain exactly what it is. The intent is to match the feds on this.
Ms. Pollack?
Madam Chair, Senator Nelson, Senator Bach, yes, the subtraction would be, both spouses would be eligible for the subtraction on a married joint return, so up to $10,500. And the idea is that any employer paying student loans on behalf of the employee, so if two spouses have different employers and they both make that payment, both spouses would be able to claim the subtraction.
So Madam Chair, Ms. Pollack, my question is, if my employer on my joint return paid $10,000, because I take the entire $10,000 as a couple, even if my spouse had nothing.
Madam Chair, Senator Bach, no, the subtraction is limited to $5,250 per employee. So if an employer makes more payments, they can only subtract up to that $5,250.
So Ms. Pollack, is the language clear enough?
Ms. Pollack?
Madam Chair, Senator Bach, I think so. The subtraction is limited to $5,250 on line 1.9, except for in a joint, it's 10. Madam Chair, Senator Bach, I see what you're saying, because it doesn't say per employee or per spouse. Madam Chair, Senator Bach, I'll make note of that unless you'd like to amend it at this time.
Sure, no, that's fine, but I think, Madam Chair, if we actually get it into the omnibus bill, we probably should make it clear that there's a cap for an individual and it's basically double for a couple.
Senator Nelson?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Ms. Pollack, Senator Bach. Yes, I think that is a good clarification as we move forward. And again, the intent is that we conform to the federal exemption. So thank you for bringing that up. We'll look forward to making a note of that as we move forward.
Any other questions, members? Don't see anybody online. All right, with that, Senate File 3221 will be laid over for possible inclusion in the omnibus bill. Next, we are moving on to Senate File 3334, which is also Senator Nelson, Workforce Training Credit Establishment. Senator Nelson, to your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I would move Senate File 334. This is another workforce training credit bill, again, trying to get at that workforce shortage that is really impacting us all across our state and impacting our economic vitality as well. This workforce training credit, I will give you the background, the explanation of that. Again, the CARES Act enacted on March 27th of 2020 expanded the exclusion for employer-provided educational assistance programs to include student loan payments made by an employer on behalf of the employee up to $5,250. I think I might not have the right document here. Let's see. Ms. Pollack, I'm going to ask you to to explain 3334. It is, could you please explain that? I do not have the right document here.
Ms. Pollak?
Madam Chair, Senator Nelson, 3334 is a credit for employer-provided training expenses. The eligible training expenses paid by an employer on behalf of an employee include things like tuition or fees paid for instruction, instructor salaries, materials and supplies, or payments to a third party or to a post-secondary educational institution for that training. Eligible expenses does exclude payments for renting of space or similar expenses. The credit is, actually, Madam Chair, we do have an author's amendment for this bill.
Yes, the
if
A2.
you'd
I'd like to offer the
it's
A2, please.
A3, actually, Madam Chair.
A3, thank you,
Senator Nelson, would you like to discuss the A3 amendment?
thank you.
Or Ms. Pollak, whoever can speak to it?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, Senator Nelson, yes, the A3 author's amendment does a couple of things. There are some technical changes and then a couple of more substantive changes. The first part of the amendment on 1.3 to 1.18 is a technical change to require that the amount of eligible expenses that were used to deduct or to in the calculation of federal adjusted gross income, those have to be added back for purposes of claiming the credit to avoid the double dipping situation. On 1.19, this clarifies that the eligible employee is an employee whose duties are performed in the state of Minnesota. And then 1.21 and 1.22 reduce the amount of the amount of the credit that may be claimed and the total amount that may be claimed by an employer in a tax year. Line 1.3 deletes a subdivision that provides a sunset. This credit is intended to be ongoing. And 1.24 and 1.25 do the same thing. They remove the sunset, or language pertaining to the sunset of the credit, and so it would be ongoing.
Thank you, Ms. Pollak. Any questions about the amendment, members? Senator Klein?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Senator Nelson and Ms. Pollak. The first two parts of the amendment seem clear. Can the author just explain why it was opted to sort of cut the workforce credit in half and the benefit down by a third in the 1.21 section? Was it just because the fiscal note came in too large, or it seems like a pretty good program, and I'm not sure why we're already scaling it back?
Senator Nelson or Ms. Pollak?
Yes, thank you. I do have my bill folder here now. So yes, we were cautious about the revenue estimate. We will adjust this as the revenue estimate comes in, but it is a good program. You're right. It's exactly the prescription, Dr. Klein, that is needed right now if we want to get our workforce skilled for those jobs that are in such need right now. But yes, we felt that the language needed to be clarified. That was the first two parts of that A3 amendment, but the last part really does deal with the amounts. And we can scale this up or we can scale this down. But we did want to try and get a basis of the revenue estimate based on numbers that I am very optimistic that are certainly doable. And if in fact we can increase it up to its original intent, which was doubling that to 200,000, we will do that. But again, I just want to try and get the best revenue estimate possible. We're gonna lay it over today, and then we will adjust as allowed.
Senator Dietrich into Senator Bach and rest.
Well, Madam Chair, Senator Nelson, what's the purpose of eliminating the sunset? Why wouldn't we take another look at this 7 years from now?
Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, we can always take a look, Senator Bach, at any time that the legislature is in session. We are not limited, but we do want to provide a reasonable, anticipated timeline for this to be advantageous both to the businesses and the employees as well. So you know, businesses don't run on necessarily a year-by-year basis. They plan. It takes time to get pieces in place and to plan accordingly. So I think it's just a matter of good planning, but this does not in any way inhibit the Senate or the House for any matter in bringing up any legislation that needs to be adjusted.
Well, Madam Chair, Senator Nelson, my experience is if you don't put a sunset on, no one will ever look at this again, and it will be permanent, and nobody in this room will even know whatever happened that isn't here today. So I would encourage you, as you put the bill together, you think about a sunset. And if it needs to be longer than 2029 on line 2.9, I'm fine with that. But my experience is these things never get looked at unless they have to. That's all.
Madam Chair.
Senator Nelson.
Senator Bach, I think those are good comments. I think the tax expenditure report that's now required that was your legislation last year will help with that. I also want to note, to make sure that these things are looked at, we also want to make sure that there's enough time to see how effective the program is. So you have to have time for it to get in place. You have to have time for it to be effective. And so we just wanted to allow that. But clearly, as we examine the tax expenditure report, we will be looking at this as well as all other expenditures and the timelines on those. And I don't want to run into the similar thing that happened a few years ago. Actually, I think it was during the first year of the pandemic. You might remember that the angel investor tax credit expired. And there was, I can't remember if it was the first year of the pandemic or right before, but there was it just slipped through. And no one realized that that was going to expire until it did expire. And that was problematic in restarting those innovators and that innovative angel investor. And we lost some good ground there. So the intent is to have enough time or ground to have in this case, the workforce training credit in place, work, and be able to evaluate it. And it might be shorter than 10 years. Very well could be.
Senator Bach.
Madam Chair, employers have 10 years to carry the credit forward. So you could take the credit in 2029, and as the bill is originally drafted, you could still take the credit until 2039. And Madam Chair, you think 2039 is long?
Senator Nelson.
Madam Chair. No, I think 10 years is plenty long enough. I'm saying removing the sunset, or reinstating the sunset it eliminates the ability for time. And so your question is to the carryover of 10 years. Yes.
Because the bill allowed, even as the original draft allowed for employers to take the credit in year 2029. And then they had 10 years to carry it forward. So the bill was constructed, employers would be able to get this credit until 2039. And you said that 2039 is not long enough, that maybe we have to go beyond that.
No.
I just think you should reconsider that.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Bach. Yes, definitely we can reconsider. And I think my comments were to making sure that we had a long enough time, which 10 years clearly is long enough and could be much longer than needed. So thank you for the clarification, and that is something that we will continue with. And Madam Chair, if I might, I also want to draw members' attention. Hopefully this letter did make it into your packet. And this is from the NFIB, National Federation of Independent Businesses. I would like to just call out things that certainly you are well aware of, and that is the struggling right now of getting the workforce that is needed. And just to put a few things into context, 1/3 of our small businesses are continuing to report that sales are still well below pre-pandemic labor levels, and obviously half have lost sales due to worker shortages. So that gets to the point of this workforce training bill. And I thought this was interesting. I think we know this, but to see the exact numbers is, again, showing why this is so important. And of course, that is the labor problem. In January, 25% of small businesses reported labor quality as their top business problem, and 47% of small businesses reported job openings that they cannot fill. So 47%, nearly half of our businesses running lower than they could, than they could, because they just have almost half of their jobs vacant. And again, this is one way to try and provide that flexible, meaningful assistance so that employers who are trying to fill those jobs can actually help with the training needed. So again, it's a bit of a jumpstart coming out of the pandemic, the workforce shortage, and one more way for us to try and get the needed workers in the jobs that are calling for them.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. I want to make sure we move your amendment. Were there any other questions, Senator Dietzig?
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair and Madam Chair. I appreciate this amendment. One of the questions that I did have was, did the employee have to be in Minnesota? So I think that is really helpful. I also, can I get some clarity on line 1.5 and line 1.13 on the workforce training expenses? So I want to make sure I have this clear, because right now they can deduct certain expenses, and so they have to be added back in then to take the credit.
Ms. Pollock?
Madam Chair, Senator Dietzig, yes, so at the federal level, employers can deduct these expenses or other, similar wage-like expenses for purposes of reducing their federal taxable income. So those would have to be added back, right, because that federal taxable income, the federal adjusted gross income comes down through the Minnesota tax return. So the credit could not be claimed to the extent that those amounts were used to reduce federal adjusted gross income.
Senator Dietzig?
And I have a follow-up, and this might be more towards the bill as well. I like this bill. I agree we have workforce shortages and we need to get people trained. I think people should continue training. And so I think this would be helpful, but so they can deduct certain expenses, but not others. So I did a little bit of research because I knew they could deduct expenses, and when you do a little bit, that might be dangerous. But you can deduct expenses, if I'm remembering this right, you can deduct expenses for training that helps your current job, but not for training for a future job. So, sorry, I'll start my video. How does that work with this credit? And this might be more of an overall bill. So can you deduct, does the credit count for both training for the current job and training for a future job? And then how does that interact with the deductions?
Senator Nelson or Ms. Pollock would like to take that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Pollock, I think this goes to what is in the federal legislation, and so I'm going to have you address that.
Madam Chair, Senator Nelson, Senator Dietzig. Yes, so first, the definition of eligible training expenses here does not speak to whether the training would be for the current job or a future job. That might be something to review at a later point. But to the extent that a deduction was taken at the federal level for expenses that would fall within the definition of eligible training expenses. So again, here, regardless of whether that's for a future or not the immediate employee's position, the add back would apply.
Thank you.
Senator Rest, did you have a question still?
Yes, thank you. I had some of the same concerns that that Senator Dietzig had, Madam Chair, and Senator Nelson. And I too just want to indicate that I'm uncomfortable with deleting subdivision 5. Also, I hope that when you do get the revenue estimate tied to the, sorry, I don't know how to do that. When you do get the revenue estimate tied to the amended version, I hope you'll bring the bill back before it's considered further for inclusion in the bill, in the omnibus bill, so that we can have a chance to review the process by which the Department of Revenue created its estimate. I would like to request that you do that at some further. It might not need to take a long time to do it, but just to make it part of the committee's discussion, I would appreciate that.
Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Senator Rest, we will make sure that everyone has full access to an updated revenue estimate. And again, our intention is not whether it's training for the current job or a newer job. Actually, my intention is that that the workers get the training that's needed for the job that exists, which could be different than the job they have. But we will obviously tie into the federal language as well. So yes, we will make sure that the committee is fully informed regarding an updated revenue estimate. I greatly appreciate the support, particularly the support for keeping it at its original intent, but we do just have to be cautious as that comes in, but we know that this is totally scalable, and we will do so. I just have a few closing comments if members, there could be further comments. I don't want to cut any off.
Yes. Would you like us to move your amendment first?
Oh, yes, I would
Senator
like
Nelson?
to renew my motion, and we move the A3 authors amendment.
All right, Senator Nelson moves the A3 authors amendment. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The amendment is passed. All right, Senator Nelson?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We have a few questions too.
Are there other questions or comments before I continue?
Yes, there are. Senator Dietz.
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Chair. Again, I said I appreciate this, sorry. Yeah. Is it working now? Okay. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Is that better? So I appreciate this bill because I do think we need training. But I do have some questions, and I don't expect answers right now. I just some things to consider as you move forward. And one of them, is the training for under the federal guidelines of what's deductible. So what is used to help for the current job or for the future job? One of the other questions I have is, so who qualifies for the training? Is it just full-time employees? There's a line here somewhere that made me raise that question. So line 1.15, it says per full-time employee. So is it just for full-time employees? That's just one kind of question. And then how do you define training? I don't know if there's a federal definition that we want to link to. So, I'm assuming that if an electrical worker needs to do some additional training to work on in their current job, but on maybe a future job site, that this would qualify for the employer to send them to the IBEW Training Center. Does it qualify for CLEs for lawyers? Can a company send a tech person to coursework on cybersecurity, or, does a college coursework for a degree work? I mean, in some ways, we kind of want certified nursing assistants to maybe become nurses, and so maybe, that college coursework might be helpful. And then when you talk about training, could a company use this to, and get the credit for diversity training, for sexual harassment training? I think it would be helpful to just know what is training. And maybe companies know that based on the federal law, but I think it would just be helpful to get that clarity. And then when you talk about materials and supplies on lines 1.9 and 1.10, so under the federal law, tools would not be considered materials. So you can get textbooks, but tools aren't qualified. And so, again, just some clarity on that if we're following the federal guidelines. And then is there some type of requirement that the person actually attend the training and get some certification? And then who's going to verify and enforce that certification? Is it going to be DOLI or DOR? Just some of the questions. And then the last question I have is when you can get this credit and the carry forward, can this be transferred to a related company or a unitary somebody under the corporate unitary group. So that's just another question, just kind of a very technical question that I think you should consider going forward. And can this be transferred to another related company? So those are just, I don't expect answers now, but just for consideration to get some clarity on the bill, I would appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Dietzick. Are there any other questions? All right, Senator Nelson, I believe you have a testifier, Ms. Kadoun.
Ms. Kadoun.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Beth Kadoun with the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, and we're here in strong support of Chair Nelson's bill, and we thank her for bringing it forward. The Minnesota Chamber focuses on policies to help improve Minnesota's business climate so businesses can start, grow, and thrive in our state, and to help grow our economy. Excuse me. The top two concerns we hear from our businesses impeding their ability to grow in Minnesota is the shortage of workers in Minnesota's tax and regulatory environment. This bill will help with both concerns by helping reduce taxes and encourage training and the upskilling of workers, benefiting both the employer and the employee. The Minnesota Chamber Foundation undertook an extensive review of Minnesota's position in the national and global economy and released their recommendations on how to shape and foster economic performance in the coming decade in their Minnesota 2030 report. The report highlighted the fact that slow population and labor force growth will continue to constrain job and economic growth in our state, and our economic growth will need to be driven by productivity improvements. As the chair mentioned, our workforce challenges are here, and they're not short-lived, as the state demographer forecasts basically a flat labor force growth over the next decade or more. We currently have 0.6 unemployed workers for job vacancies. And many of those workers do not have the skills that match the jobs that are vacant. As Minnesota will not be growing our economy through adding more jobs and people, but instead our growth will come from improving our productivity. And that will require investments in innovation and upskilling of our workforce, as you know. Minnesota's highly skilled, talented, and reliable workforce has been our competitive advantage and one of our key strengths for past generations. Investing in workers' skills is becoming more important, especially with the new technology that require a constant need to train and upskill. Investments in training will help improve worker productivity, spur innovation, and also provide pathways for upward mobility for the worker. Another issue this bill addresses is public policy that was highlighted by research by the Aspen Institute that actually advocates for workforce training credit. What they find is that the benefits of training reside primarily with the worker rather than with the business. There will always be the portion of the investment that benefits the overall economy, but not the business itself. The reason is that workers are more apt to make career jumps than they have in the past, which is not necessarily a bad thing. However, what it does mean is that businesses have a more difficult time capturing the return on their training investments, as many times that employee may move to a competitor. The result can be less investment in training at the same time our economy requires a more highly skilled workforce. This tax credit will help make workforce training investment less costly and more attractive to employers, as well as providing that key benefit to employees. We encourage your support for this bill as you put together your omnibus bill, as Minnesota needs to look at public policies to help encourage more private sector investment in Minnesota operations and to encourage more training to help with Minnesota's future economic success. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kadoun. Any questions, members for Ms. Kadoun? Senator Dietzick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Kadoun. I actually read the, no, I'm not going to unmute myself. I read the report, the Aspen report, and so it actually raised some of these questions that I was asking as I was reading it on the bill. So if you have any guidance or guidelines on what you think would work for companies and then work for employees as we, further refine this bill, I think that would be very helpful. Because I do think this is needed when we need to have a skilled workforce. And one of the things I think that, I read a few different things I think the Aspen report specifically mentioned, they don't, because employers are more mobile, they maybe be hesitant to train them in cybersecurity. And technology was one of the things that kept coming up on where we need more people to get more training in that, and how do you get the employees and the companies to do that? So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dietzick. Anybody else? Senator Nelson, any closing comments?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Kadoon. And I also wanted to thank the co-authors on the bill, Senator Rest, Senator Pratt. We know that our workforce shortage is a concern across our state. It is a bipartisan concern, and we know that workers are our most important asset. This is investing in our workers, and it will benefit, as Ms. Kadoon noted, both the workers and the employers, and this will help position Minnesota for future economic success. Many of the questions today I thought were very good questions, and one of the things I noted as we seek to align our Minnesota tax code with a certain federal tax code, where we think these type of investments, such as this one in our workers, is important. I think it's important for our committee to maybe have at hand the actual federal regulation or the federal tax code that we're looking to bring those same benefits to Minnesota. And so we will do that in the future. We'll make sure that you have reference to that federal tax code that we are seeking to bring as benefits to Minnesotans as well. And I did want to note too that so we do have the workforce shortage, but I also wanted to make sure the committee was aware too that it is a demographic trend. For decades, we have seen lower birth rates. We're seeing that in our school attendance. We are seeing that in the number of available workers to participate in our economy. So it's really a time for all hands on deck. We need to make sure that every worker has the skills that they choose. They have the ability to be trained for the jobs that exist. And it's good to get the employers involved in helping pay for this additional training. So I think it's a positive thing. I appreciate the good comments from the committee, and look forward to discussing this further as we get an updated revenue revenue estimate, knowing that we may need to scale it. Certainly be nice if we were able to scale it up and provide even greater incentives to get Minnesotans trained, upscaled for the jobs that exist. But with that, Madam Chair, we'll just ask that you lay the bill over.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Senate File 3334 as amended will be laid over for possible inclusion. And with that, members, I'll hand the gavel back over and would like to thank you all for white knuckling your way through the dark and uncertain times a freshman chairing the tax committee can bring, so appreciate it.
Senator Clausen, welcome to the committee. That was your bill that I started to look at right away. I thought, well, this is not quite the right bill we're talking about, so I'm glad that you're here to talk about that. Senate File 3314, Senator Clausen. If I could have Senator Weber, would you like to move Senate File 3114?
So moved, Madam Chair.
And I believe, might you have an amendment, Senator Clausen?
Madam Chair, thank you for the opportunity to present Senate File 3314. And I do have an amendment I'd like to offer. It's the A1 amendment.
Members, thank you. You have the A1. And Senator Bach, would you like to move the A1 amendment?
Madam Chair, I'll move the A1 to get the bill in the form that the author would like to have it.
Thank you, Senator Bach. Everyone has the amendment. All those in favor of adopting this author's amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Senator Clausen, the A1's been adopted. The bill's in the shape you intend. To your bill, Senator Clausen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Senate File 3314 provides conformity to the federal law of providing a gross income tax exclusion of employee payments up to $5,250 made on behalf of employees for educational student loan payments. Employees may deduct these payments as a business expense as well, and this provision was part of the March 2020 CARES Act, where an exception was made to the qualifying expenses where they added the student loan payments at that time through the CARES Act. Then in 2020, the Consolidated Appropriations Act, it was passed in December of 2020, extended the exclusion through tax year 2025. The deduction would come directly from the gross income amount. The conformity provides a convenience and savings to the Minnesota employee taxpayer in the amount of the qualifying student payment would not have to be added back into the gross income amount and taxed when filing a Minnesota tax return. And as we are all aware, there's been a great deal of concern over mounting student debt. And I did provide a chart, a rather colorful chart, that shows the median debt by academic award received here in Minnesota. I think it's interesting to note that this amount of debt has been going down slightly, and I think that's part due to the freezing of tuition, in some cases also to the Minnesota student grant investments that we've made. But on the other hand, it's still a considerable amount of debt that our students are carrying. So that's just for your review. I do have a testifier. I believe he is online, Alex Kylander. He is the lead Minnesota president.
Mr. Kylander, welcome to the committee. Introduce yourself to the record, please.
Thank you, Chair Nelson, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Axel Kylander. I'm the president of Lead MN, the statewide student association representing Minnesota's community and technical college students. And I would like to start by thanking Senator Clausen for bringing Senate File 3314 forward. Over 775,000 Minnesotans currently hold $26 billion in student loan debt. This is debt that is holding thousands back from purchasing homes, starting families, creating small businesses, and participating in their local economies. Every dollar spent on student loan debt is a dollar that is not being put back into our local communities and the economy. The Georgetown Center for Education and the Workforce estimates that nearly 6 out of 10 jobs require a post-secondary education of some kind. Our economy requires skilled workers, and our post-secondary institutions, especially our community and technical colleges, provide this training. But because of the high cost of tuition, students often have to rely on student loans to pay their way through school. The students and graduates who took on and continue to take on this debt are doing so in order to become nurses, engineers, electricians, welders, therapists, and so many of the other critical occupations in our state economy. Adopting Senate File 3314 will ensure that both students and employers are not punished for taking advantage of this much-needed tax benefit to reduce student loan debt. Alignment between the state and federal tax code will guarantee that employees and employers can receive the maximum impact of this benefit and will help incentivize more employers to participate in addressing a major economic issue for thousands of Minnesotans. I strongly urge you to adopt Senate File 3314. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kylander. Senator Clausen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, you also have the revenue note and the Senate Council overview of the bill. And at this time, I'd be open to any questions or comments people may have.
Well, Senator Clausen, one thing that I know we may consider, perhaps not at this point, but how this would interact with the bill that we just heard as
Right.
far as, again, addressing workforce shortage. This also addressed the increasing a student debt problem. And so whether or not it be today, I know it's always complicated when we're looking at federal legislation and Minnesota tax law in general. And so at some point, we will delve into that and how if there are any interactions, what they might be. And Ms. Pollack, if you have something to add now, you can. Otherwise, we'll wait until we have both revenue estimates.
Madam Chair, I believe Mr. Wilms can speak a little bit to the interaction on the revenue estimate.
Thank you, Mr. Wilms.
Madam Chair and committee members, so this bill is very similar in nature to the bill that was heard earlier related to conformity to the federal exclusion amounts. These are the same amounts that we're dealing with. It's just a different policy approach of having an exclusion versus having a state subtraction. And within that, there are some policy choices. With the exclusion, there's the retroactive nature of it, so that's why the revenue estimate shows a higher amount in FY '23. It accounts for additional tax years. The exclusion is also slightly more simple for the taxpayer. However, the drawback of the exclusion and the advantage of the subtraction for some might be that it doesn't expire. The federal exclusion is set to expire, and the subtraction would be ongoing in perpetuity.
Thank you for the clarification. Something to consider as we move forward. Senator Bach.
Well, Madam Chair, Senator Clausen, I appreciate the graph showing the amount of debt that college students are carrying, and I'm pretty sympathetic to that, but as it relates to tuition. But, Madam Chair, I've always had some concern about these debt numbers because a lot of students, maybe most students, borrow money to help pay for their housing and their cost of living. I'm not sure that should be deductible. You know, whether you're in college or you decide to go into an apprenticeship program right out of high school, housing is housing. You have to live someplace. And so much of this debt is housing related. And so I've never quite been able to figure out how to rationalize that, Senator Clausen, that, because a lot of students, most students probably take out loans to cover the cost of housing. And it's just, I don't know why we'd provide a tax credit to pay for someone's housing when we do for kids in school, but maybe not for kids that go directly into the workforce. So that's just something I think for people to think about. I mean, these numbers look like they're carrying a lot of debt, but I just would be interested if there's any information out there about how much of the debt that they're carrying is related to their housing that they would have had to provide for themselves regardless if they were in college or not. That's all, just something to ponder.
Thank you, Senator Bach. I will say, it is true that Minnesota does have some of the highest student debt in the nation. The last I looked, one of the top 5. And how that, you know, how those student loan dollars are used is always a question. So I do understand that. And just to stay, it is a ball and chain around our college students, or any students really, any young person who has an inordinate amount of debt. It is a ball and chain around their leg as they try to move into home ownership or a new job. So certainly something to consider as we go forward, and we'll look at these proposals in more depth as we get the final revenue estimates. Senator Clausen.
Madam Chair, just a response to Senator Bach. The Minnesota State Grant does take that into consideration. There's a living and expenses that's attached to that. So it does take, you know, at least a little bit of that into consideration when the award is made.
Thank you. Any, Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to follow up on Senator Bach's comment, too. My daughter graduated from law school about 17 years ago, I think it was. And at that time, her tuition was in the neighborhood of $25,000 a year. And then she had her living expenses on top of that. And of course, what happens is your living expenses for rent and everything, if you're in a college town, they go up as well because everything is higher in a college town for that purpose, you know. And so, yeah, the 3 years of college cost her probably close to $100,000, including tuition and living expenses. And that's in terms of debt. I mean, she had put other money into it besides from her part-time jobs and what have you. So, as well as mom and dad. But it's, I think, you know, at the amounts we're talking about, certainly there's no question that that doesn't begin to cover the tuition amount that they're spending. So that's all I had to say.
Any further comments? I'll just add one, the prerogative of the chair and a former educator and higher ed member and such. Certainly, it is a concern, our increasing student debt, but to note that the world is changing. The world is changing, and you might have heard the recent report this morning regarding more and more employers during this workforce crisis, not necessarily saying you have to have this degree. They're bypassing whether or not the student or the applicant has the bachelor's degree, but do they have the skills? Do they have the skills that are needed? And that is the key thing, really, is matching the skill set to the jobs that are needed. And I think with credentials, badges, all the different types of higher learning, skilling up, that's just like our world is changing in everything that we do, our jobs are changing, the things that they need and the innovations in how workers have that continual lifelong learning, upskilling for the jobs that probably don't even exist yet. So it will be an ongoing concern for sure, but I think we are up to the task. And especially the next generation, they are up to the task of innovating and learning and growing in different manners.
Madam Chair, young people coming out of college today have tremendous opportunities. It's just amazing what's out there. And I was meeting with one of our Minnesota healthcare companies yesterday who also operates in North Dakota. And they are paying up, not doctors, just nursing professionals. They're paying up to $20,000 bonuses to get people to sign up because there are so many people short. So this is a pretty good opportunity for young people coming out of schools these days. And it might stay this way for a while. I mean, this might be a structural problem in our workforce, this labor shortage we're facing. So I don't want young people to think that the debt issue is insurmountable for them, because it's not. I mean, an investment in education, you can just look at all the graphs out there. It will certainly pay for itself over time. And especially right now in this labor shortage, it's going to pay for itself quicker than it previously has.
Thank you, Senator Bach. I think you're right. It is a job applicant's world out there. All right, any further comments? Senator Clausen, closing comments then.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, when I first looked at that revenue note, I was a little bit surprised at the amount. But I think what we're seeing is this is a great incentive for a lot of employers that are out there looking for qualified people, that this is a way to attract them. We're going to help pay off your student debt. And I think it's a good thing for the students. It's a good thing for our economy. And so I really appreciate you hearing my bill today. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Clausen. The bill will be laid over as amended. Thank you, Senator Clausen.
Thank
And
you.
members, great discussion today, and I think the takeaway is workforce is critical, education is critical to that workforce, and our employers often have stepped up to help students with that student debt. Members, thank you for the good involvement today. Thank you for all the attendance. I have to say, it's great to see the tax committee table full again. I want to thank each of you for being here personally. Glad to have our nonpartisan staff here as well. It's a great help to have you right here at the table. So thank you so much. Our meeting is adjourned. The next hearing is Tuesday, March 8th.